to start with a confession. I don't actually believe most of us are divided as social media, some cable news, or political activists want us to think. I believe we're divided on purpose. Welcome to Common Ground. This is not a podcast about pretending we all agree. I don't agree with everyone. I'm not trying to. This is a podcast about truth, courage, and calling out the forces that profit from confusion, fear, and outrage, while reminding us that most people across politics, faiths, cultures, and countries actually want the same basic things: safety, dignity, freedom, a future. My name is Yuval David. I'm Jewish, I'm gay, I'm American, I'm Israeli, I work a lot, I strive to be my best, to do better, and am really ambitious to achieve more and help others do so as well. My career as an actor, filmmaker, news commentator, writer, political advisor, well, some might think that sounds like a lot, but it's what I do. It's who I am, using the art and craft of storytelling and purposeful impact. I advise diplomats and NGOs. I've survived near-death experiences, crazy adventure sports situations, terror attacks, rape, and political violence. Don't get me wrong, I don't see myself as a victim. I am a resilient, determined survivor, and I'm unapologetic about who I am and what I believe. And here's the part that makes many people uncomfortable. I refuse to be owned by a political tribe. I have spent my life watching movements that claim to stand for justice abandon facts, abandon moral clarity, and eventually abandon the very people they say they are trying to protect. And that's why this show exists, because right now, around the world, we are living through a crisis of truth. So, let's talk about something we're not supposed to say out loud. The greatest threat to human rights globally today is not disagreement, it's extremism. Especially Islamist extremism, and the sophisticated networks that sanitize it, excuse it, or outright romanticize it. And yes, I said Islamist, not Muslim. Words matter. Islamism is a political ideology. It's not a faith. And it has murdered Muslims, Jews, Christians, LGBT people, journalists, women, dissidents, and anyone who refuses to submit to that radical Islamism. And yet, somehow, in Western democracies, we've reached a point where acknowledging this reality is treated as controversial, while people who know nothing about the Middle East, nothing about terrorism, and nothing about history chant slogans that they copied from TikTok. These are not grassroots movements. These are manufactured moral panics, driven by authoritarian regimes, terror-linked organizations, and ideological extremists who understand something very well. If you can convince free societies to hate themselves, you don't need to defeat them militarily. You just need to let them rot from the inside. And the useful idiots, the manipulated masses, do the work for free. Let's talk about anti-Semitism, because if you want to understand where a society is headed, look at how it treats Jews. Attacks on Jews are not isolated hate crimes. They are early warning systems. When Jews are attacked, democracy is already under threat. When Jewish identity is rebranded as problematic, privileged, or colonial, the moral framework that protects everyone is collapsing. And no, anti-Semitism does not become acceptable because it puts on new clothes. Anti-Zionism, that denies Jewish self-determination, is anti-Semitism, when allowing for other people to support, celebrate, nourish, and protect their indigeneity, their national pride, and community representation, but only rejecting it when Jews are doing it, that's anti-Zionism, and that's anti-Semitism. When calling for the destruction of Israel, well, that's not activism. That's eliminationism. And cheering for terror groups because they market themselves as resistance is not progressive, it's morally bankrupt. You don't get to chant for human rights while excusing rape, hostage-taking, and mass murder. That's not justice. That is propaganda. And now let me say something that might surprise people. This show is not about rage. It's about responsibility. I do not believe most Americans, left, right, or center, want chaos. I do not believe most people marching in the streets are evil. Well, some of them are. I believe many are actually misled, and I believe there are powerful actors, foreign and domestic, who exploit empathy, weaponize language, and manipulate moral instincts for political gain. This is true in U.S. politics. It's true in global activism. It's true in media ecosystems that reward outrage over accuracy. And if you think this only happens on the other side, you're already being played. I've been called too conservative for progressives, too liberal for traditionalists, too Jewish, too gay, too Zionist, too American, too outspoken. Good. That tells me I'm standing where most people actually live, in reality. Common ground does not mean moral relativism. It means recognizing that truth exists and it matters. It means understanding that you can fight extremism without demonizing entire populations, that you can defend Israel without denying the humanity of Jews, Christians, Muslims, Druze, Baha'i, and all others in Israel and in the region of Arabia, that you can champion LGBT rights without aligning with regimes that execute gay people. Hashtag queers for Palestine? Oh my God. Common ground means you can care deeply and still think critically. I do believe that everyone has a seat at the table, unless someone is trying to kill, erase, or forcibly change someone at that table. Then I say this table is not for them. Here's what this podcast will do. We will expose how extremist movements manipulate Western language, activism, and institutions. We'll talk honestly about U.S. politics without pretending one party owns virtue and the other owns evil. We will defend liberal democracy, free speech, and human dignity, even when it's uncomfortable. And we will refuse to surrender our values to fear, fashion, or mobs. Because silence doesn't protect the vulnerable. I didn't survive terror and trauma to whisper. I didn't build a career in journalism and advocacy to lie politely. I didn't work as an actor, filmmaker, director, and producer just for myself. It's for all of us. And I didn't care to create common ground to just make everyone comfortable. We can embrace the discomfort, maybe in trying to find what can be comfortable. I created common ground to make people think. If you're here because you want slogans, this isn't your show. If you're here because you want truth, even when it challenges you, welcome. This is Common Ground.